We're going to see how far each monkey can get on their own in Chimp. Starting with dart monkeys, we loaded up logs and hit play. The start was pretty simple. We just placed down 2 darts and watched them beat the rounds. Then, slightly above them, we got down a 3rd dart and upgraded him to a 0.23 crossbow. This will handle all the balloons for a while, so the next thing we had to focus on were the leads coming on round 28. To solve this, we got a 4.02 juggernaut up front and set him to strong. I wanted to make him a 4.20 for that extra attack speed, but I figured giving everything camo detection was the way to go so we don't lose to those sneaky DDTs later on. Next, we got our crossbow to our sharpshooter, made our first 2 dart monkeys into 0.32 triple shots, and got another one down. This let us save all the way up for a crossbow master on round 49. With the foreseeable future on lock, we saved all the way to round 79, where we got a dart monkey up to a 0.52 plasma monkey fan club. Now we just had to place down 18 more dart monkeys around the map so they can be transformed at a moment's notice. This crushed the rounds, and we were able to get all of them to 0.32s before the DDTs started coming in the 90s. I wanted to save this ability for when only absolutely necessary. Luckily, the crossbow master handled rounds 90 to 92 basically on its own, and we only needed to use a super monkey fan club on round 93 to take care of the final few ceramics. Then round 94 came and we used our first PMFC ability. This absolutely destroyed the round, and 95 has such a long intro that we were able to use it again once all the DDTs were on screen. 96 and 97 were pretty simple as we just spread out our abilities, but I made a huge mistake on round 98. I used PMFC to beat the very end of the round, thinking it would last long enough to pop the reinforced DDTs on round 99, but it did not. So we had to try again. This time I used the PMFC ability twice on 98 pretty early into the round. Then we just sprinkled in some super monkey fan clubs and we beat the round with our PMFC being about 2/3 through its cooldown. This was enough for it to be off cooldown for the reinforced DDTs on 99, popping them quickly, and the bad didn't stand a chance on round 100. And just like that, we beat Chimps with only dart monkeys. On to Boomerangs. This one was pretty simple as the only upgrade that can pop camos for him is the Glaive Lord, and there's no way we'll be able to afford that by round 24. So the camo went right on through. This goes for the bomb and tack shooters too. The only way the bomb shooter can pop camos is with the bomb blitz ability, which requires a leak, and the tack shooter can only pop them with the Inferno Rings Meteor, both of which aren't possible by the first camo, so they died on round 24 too. The Ice Monkey has an even bigger problem though, as it can't pop white balloons without Icicles, Snowstorm, or Super Brittle, none of which are affordable by the first white balloons on round 22, so that is where it leaked. This is better than the Glue Gunner did though, as we can't afford corrosive glue at the start, meaning it lost in round 6. Snipers though, they have everything we need: camo detection, lead popping power, and a decent early game. Perfect for this challenge. The start was simple, just a sniper in the bottom right, and we got another one the moment we could afford it. This carried us through round 10, where we decided to upgrade one of them to a 0.20 for more crowd control and the other to a 1.00 and set this one to strong. This crushed and actually let us upgrade our first sniper all the way to a 0.32 bouncing bullet. From here, we didn't know what to do as round 40 can be scary, but the track is so long that we might be okay without focusing on mob popping power. So we upgraded our bouncing bullet to a supply drop and our other sniper to a 1.20, and surprisingly we popped the mob with just enough time to clean up the ceramics inside. Seeing that we needed more single target damage, we upgraded our second sniper to a 2.20 and picked up a 2.03, also setting it to strong. Then we saved up through round 51, where we finally had enough money to get the elite sniper, which will give everything plus 33% attack speed. To round out our build, we got our second sniper to a main mob and our third all the way up to a 2.05 elite defender. Now we have great single target damage, blimp stalls, and ceramic popping power, but will we be able to make it all the way to the bad? Well, we just saved all our money until we leaked on round 82. This left us with about $35,000 to work with, so we picked up 2 supply drop snipers. These will work great against the giant clumps of ceramics heading our way, as well as having lead popping power to help out with the DDTs coming in the 90s. Once again, we saved up, reaching $41,000 this time for round 92. Here, we were really struggling with all the reinforced mobs, so we picked up 2 full auto snipers, and that seemed to do the trick. In fact, this let us go all the way to round 95, where we got a cripple mob, completing our side mission of getting all 3 tier 5 snipers. Unfortunately, we just couldn't beat these DDTs. Even with tons of retries and several different setups, round 95 kept taking us down. I know people have beat sniper-only chimps games before, but snipers have been nerfed several times recently, so I'm interested to see someone do it now. It might be possible, but we're moving on. On to the submarine, that is. And this one shouldn't be too bad, as we have every type of balloon popping power. But I did think that about the sniper, so maybe it won't be too easy. We started off with a double sub and saved straight up for a 022 airburst. We have no other monkeys to give advanced intel range, so the middle path is definitely the way to go, especially since we'll need that pierce and lead popping power later on. This gave us plenty of time to pick up a submerge and support before the first camo appeared on 24, making camos a thing of the past. Then we upgraded our airburst to a triple gun and picked up a 032 ballistic missile at the very right side of the pool. We don't have much water to work with here, so we really have to maximize our space. And we were actually able to get another ballistic missile down before round 40, which cleaned up the mob with plenty of time to spare. Then we upgraded our first sub to a 402 Bloontonium reactor, making it so no camos will ever sneak by. Now, we don't have any real problems, but it's pretty clear that we need to save up for a tier 5 before tons of BFBs and reinforced mobs start coming our way. So we picked up a third ballistic missile for the mid game and saved all the way until round 59, where we were able to afford the sub commander, doubling the damage for all of our subs. Next, we picked up 3 more 032s, scrunching them in as tightly as possible, and then we had a terrible idea. So terrible that it might be awesome. We saved all the way up for a 052 preemptive strike, getting it on round 84. This combined with the sub commander did a number on any blimp right as they spawned. I mean, even reinforced BFBs were no longer scary as they came in so damaged. Now there were only 2 things to do. The first was get an Energizer, which we got in round 95, and the second was to fill out the rest of the pool with ballistic missiles, which we did by round 97. This just marched through the rounds, and all we did from here was pick up a first strike on round 100 to pop the bad before it even got to the turn. And there we go. The submarine chimps run was the easiest one so far. Will the Buccaneer be this easy? Hopefully. The start was simple. We just placed 1 buck down and slowly upgraded it to a 032 cannon ship. This soloed until round 26, where we placed down a 202 with plans of making this guy a carrier flagship in the future. It kind of disgusts me cross-pathing both our boats this way, but I suppose camo detection is pretty important. Anyway, we made this new buck a destroyer and our initial one a monkey pirate. This was doing so well that I actually wrote part of this script while this run was going. But after a while, I upgraded our destroyer to an aircraft carrier and then got down another 042 pirate. I really don't know why I made this decision, but it seemed fun. And it let us save up for a pirate lord, getting it in the middle of round 63, and then a carrier flagship on round 78. 2 of the toughest rounds in the game, but the Bucks were kind of manhandling them, or monkey handling, I suppose. I wanted to win with just this to show off the Buccaneer supremacy, but round 99 was just too much. It was clear that we weren't going to pop all those reinforced DDTs, so I spent some of our $90,000 on monkey pirates and hooked them all in. This let us pop the bad and beat round 100 with over $42,000 left. But this is where we run into an issue. The monkey ace is up and we can't afford it at the start of a chimps game. Now, can I give us extra starting cash to put it down? Yes, but that wouldn't be a fair comparison to the others, so we're gonna pass on any monkey we can't afford at the start. Who knows? Maybe I'll make a part 2 where we cover the 7 towers that are too expensive. Spoiler alert, I bet the village dies on round 6. Anyway, this means the wizard is up next, one of my favorites. Now, the start would be super easy if we could pick up a wall of fire, as there's no way something is getting through that on a map like Resort. However, there's one huge problem that comes on round 25. Purples. And the only way for us to pop those is with a Necromancer's resurrected balloons. Unfortunately, even with us penny pinching, we didn't even come close to affording this upgrade. So the wizard lost in round 25. On to the ninja. This guy will need a lot of space in the middle of the track, so we went back to logs. The start was super simple as a 202 just destroyed the rounds. But instead of the typical route of getting a double shot into balloon jitsu, we actually picked up a flash bomb here to pop the lead balloons coming on round 28. After making sure we could pop those though, we got a 402 ninja to take care of everything else. Now it was time for shinobis. 10 of them in fact, and we made our flash bomb into a sticky bomb as blimps will quickly be heading our way. Now, I wanted this to let us pick up the master bomber to guarantee popping all the DDTs, but round 76 had other plans. Our shinobis kept making a regrow farm too big for our balloon jitsu to take out, so we had to get 3 more shinobis, which somehow did the trick. Not much of a setback, and we could still afford the master bomber on round 79. From here, we maxed out the shinobi buffs on the master bomber and upgraded our best shinobi to a 042 Bloons Sabotage. I don't know if we'll need it, but that slow is amazing. This plowed through the rounds and actually let us upgrade our Bloon Jitsu to a Grandmaster Ninja on round 96, virtually guaranteeing the win. But I wasn't done yet. I did my favorite thing in the 21 Ninja strat, and that was picking up Caltrops on all of my shinobis to make a massive wall of spikes that nothing can get through. And with that, we took down round 100. On to the best tower in the game, the Alchemist. Unfortunately for him, it's because how good he is at buffing other towers and not because he's good at popping balloons on his own. But how hard could this be? We started off with an elk in the small square and let him do his thing. He's actually not bad, as one potion can pop a green balloon with its damage over time. We quickly upgraded him to a 110 and set him to strong. This soloed until round 12, where we picked up another Alchemist, and this was just enough to pop all the yellows. I probably should have spread these guys out more, but what fun would that be? On round 14, we got this new Alchemist faster throwing, which really helped hit all the pinks and yellows, especially once we gave it larger potions, and then the rounds actually got quite easy, until round 19 that is, where we had to get a third elk to spread out the love. Because this guy was a bit farther back, we made him a 012 for those sweet purple acid pools. It was short-lived though, as the camo balloon leaked on round 24. Now, I knew the elk couldn't pop camos, but I didn't think it'd be that hard to make it to round 24 with just alchemists. But we got there, and it managed to tie some other notable towers like the tack and bomb shooters. Onto the Druid, and I'll save us all some time. We got one down, made it a 031, and it crushed everything until the camo leaked on round 24. Not bad, Druid, not bad. Shifting gears, we have the Engineer. We rushed the sentry gun upgrade, and the balloons didn't stand a chance. It got even easier once we made him a 210, but we had two glaring weaknesses: camos and lead. Luckily, we can solve 3 problems with one tower. We just have to place a cleansing foam engineer up front, and all of our worries go away, especially once we make him a 230, as his sentries have lead popping power. Now that solves our camo and lead problems, but what's the third issue that this tower solves? Well, I plan on making our first engineer a sentry champion, and he'll be our main source of damage. However, there are some turret spots that are much better than others, and we can force his turrets to be placed in these good spots by placing other engineers where we don't want his turrets to be. So every engineer placed this run has this in mind, to corral the turrets to good locations. Anyway, now that the cleansing foam is down, we can upgrade our first engineer to a sentry expert, giving us tons of popping power and some utility. Now to just get another cleansing foam, and it's time for the big save up to the sentry champion. This worked surprisingly well, getting us to round 54 with no real issues. Just a couple $1,000s away from the upgrade, some ceramics got through. Not sure how much money we'd have to spend to deal with this. We picked up deconstruction for just a little extra mob damage, and funny enough, it was just enough to beat the round. Who knew that a $380 upgrade could make such a big difference? This let us beat round 55 as well, which gave us enough money to pick up the sentry champion. A massive increase in damage. Now, it is weak to purple balloons, but my thinking is that the cleansing foam sentries should be able to pop any purples heading our way this run. Speaking of cleansing foams, we are running out of them pretty often, so we got a third just to make sure that no camos could sneak through. Then we upgraded one of them to an overclock. This works very well with the sentry champion, as he can place down way more purple turrets with this buff on him. Now, the next thing on the agenda was to get an XXXL trap, so let the save up begin. The start wasn't too bad, but round 78 was a doozy. We actually had to micro the foams to make sure their pierce was only spent on the camo ceramics, and even with this, we popped the last one on its final path. But on round 85, we were able to pick up the big trap. We made this guy a 025, as this crosspath lets him ignore the additional RBE of fortified balloons, which is basically every balloon going forward. Still scared of camos, we got another cleansing foam, and then upgraded one of them to an overclock so we can keep this buff on the sentry champion 100% of the time. This cruised through the rounds with nothing giving us much of a challenge until round 98, where tons of super ceramics got by. We got around this though by using one overclock on our sentry champion and our second on the big trap engineer. This lets him place down traps much faster than normal, allowing us to beat the round. We continued this strat for round 99, which got way too close to the end, and I'm actually not sure how we managed to pop everything before the exit, but we take those. And now all that's left was the bad, which made it to the final pass before its outer layer was even popped. But by overclocking both tier 5s, we were able to take it down at the very end. Finally, we have the beast handler. something I've done before, but he's been nerfed quite a few times since that first Chimps run. The start was pretty simple, and it was actually entertaining to watch him pop balloons manually with his stick. That being said, we upgraded him to a Microraptor just so we could micro him if needed. This was barely able to beat the rounds, so we got a second one and watched them tear through the balloons and greens together. While fun to watch two tiny raptors chomp at balloons bigger than them, on round 13 it was time to make one of them an Adasaurus, which was a huge increase in damage, especially once I merged the Microraptor with him. This let us get a second Adasaurus, maxing out its power and getting those sweet purple spikes on its back. The next thing to worry about was camos, but that's nothing a horned owl can't handle, especially when it can see so much of the track. But this combo saved up over 3 grand, letting us get a Velociraptor, which didn't let too many balloons get past it. After that, we got a Golden Eagle and merged as many of the tier 2 crosspaths together as we could. It's a bit janky, but it's hard to argue with such cheap degrees. Round 40 was a bit scary, but a little Raptor Micro let him pop the outer layer, and the Golden Eagle carried the ceramics back. Now, I would have loved to get a giant Condor, as those camos are getting pretty scary, but a T-Rex is definitely the play, as we have to get this guy by 59 for those camo leads, and his stomp can always help out if needed. Now that we have the T-Rex though, it's time to max out the Golden Eagle by merging a couple more horned owls into it. We got this in round 51 and instantly started saving up for the giant Condor. This was pretty smooth sailing, and we even ended up maxing it out on round 72. This gave us great crowd control and even blimp damage for BFBs and smaller. The ZLMG though, that was a different story. The round 81 got all the way to the final pass before the T-Rex finally popped its outer layer, and the Condor dragged the innards back to the start. Luckily, we were able to get the Paukai upgrade on round 83 before the next ZLMGs came on round 85. Now, we weren't quite sure what to do from here, so we picked up an Orca and started dumping degrees into that and the T-Rex. The Orca will be nice single target damage for the bed, as well as making the rounds easier by dragging BFBs into the water. And more degrees on the T-Rex can't be bad. But this brought us all the way to round 100, where we were able to pop the bad in the middle of its second loop, making the Beast Handler the 6th monkey that can beat Chimps without other tower. But there we go. If you want to see me do the more expensive towers, let me know in the comments below.